In this next part of the lesson, I'm going to show you how to create the pattern brush with the already created patterns that I have in my swatches panel. So I'm going to ask you to look up so that you can see the steps, and then you'll be able to try it on your own. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go to the brushes panel and click on the flyout menu. If you're not looking up, this would be a really good time to do it. I'm going to click on new brush from the brushes panel, and the type is pattern brush. Then, if you notice, each of these icons for the brush content represents a different part of a possible brush. We have outside corners, we have the lines or the straightaways, we have inside corners, corners that poke in, we have the end, the beginning of lines, I should say, and the end of lines. So this straightaway here, I'm going to set that first. I'm going to click, and I made two different things. One called New Pattern Swatch 2, which would look like this. And another one that I made, which was kind of cool, which is this one, these hashed lines, which I like a lot. Okay, so I'll go back to the one that I made first, New Pattern Swatch 2. The reason why there's gaps between these is because the blue part of the rectangle does not line up to the edge of the magenta rectangle. Otherwise, it would be a solid line. I did that so you would see what would happen here. If I want to pick something for the outer corner tile, again, I have to pick from existing objects. I'm going to use New Pattern Swatch 3 for outer corners. For inner corners, I am going to use the star, or better yet, this funky triangles. For the beginning of the line, or the end of the line, depending on how you see that, I'm going to use the circle again. And here, for the end, I'll use the star. So this is a way that could be really interesting for working on your map. If you're having some sort of like a walking path. In any case, if I click OK, depending on what I draw, if I draw a circle is a closed path with no corners. I'll only get the rectangles following around each other and no special marks. Now, if you notice, this looks like the inner line is solid and the outer lines are dashed, because Illustrator wants to join the line in a continuous flow, but because the original pattern tile is a box, let's make these a little larger here. Swatch options. No, let's try this again. Do I just make this bigger? No, I do want these to be bigger. Swatch options, sorry guys. Large thumbnail view, better. So this is hard to see what this is, but if I just have it out here on its own, I can just drag that out there. That's what it looks like. How did I do that? How did you do that? Click and drag. So that's what is making this circle have this appearance. If I use the pen tool, I'm going to have outside corners and inside corners and a straightaway here. Press Escape and choose the brush. It's very squished. Okay, let's make this line longer. I'm going to zoom out. And again, choosing this brush, I'll make a long line. Outside, inside, corners, and then an end point brush. So they're quite crowded. Maybe I should have made those pattern tiles a little smaller. If I make the line longer, you should be able to get a better idea what it's doing and the kinds of odd things that will happen when you place a circle on a corner, right? The circle is going to get squished. If I do it and apply it, I should say, not to a circular object, but to a rectangular object, not a zigzag object. There, the corners are round. So it depends on the shape. curved shapes, endpoint, escape, apply the brush. If I double click on the brush, stay with me here, I'm almost done blabbing away, and I take, let's say, this option and change it to the corner option, and I draw a rectangle, I'll have something much more frame-like here. So careful engineering of the parts that you make for your brushes does make a difference, but that is the idea behind a pattern brush, being able to apply different contents to outer corners, the straight line, the inner corner, the end point, and the beginning point. Go ahead and try it.